Welcome to Mediumship Sparks, where we connect more deeply with spirit and source and follow the sparks of insight and inspiration that bring us greater awareness, healing, and just more flow into our lives. I'm Noelle Dean, intuitive medium, licensed therapist, and your host. A quick note before we begin: this podcast is for educational purposes only and provides general information. It is not medical or psychological advice and is not a substitute for care from a licensed health professional. I'm so grateful we get to step into this together. Let's dig in. Welcome to the show. We have a special treat. Michelle so generously is willing to come here and talk about her own experience and trepidation in doing mediumship. Michelle and I are in at least one class together through Tony Stockwell, who you would have heard me talk about many times. He is a teacher who I love taking courses with, and I feel a lot of freedom and creativity in what he offers. In certain ways, even though he has a very traditional background, in some ways he's very non-traditional. I love that because I don't want to follow what feels inauthentic to me. I want to come into this conversation with Michelle and ask Michelle to start from the beginning of where she's at with her journey right now in learning mediumship, practicing, or supporting other people by using medium. So Michelle, where did you start with this journey?
A few years ago, I had started taking intuitive automatic writing classes. That's how it started. And the different classes, different teachers. One teacher I came across recommended Tony Stockwell. I'd keep an eye on his website. I'd listened in on some of his stuff, but the big one was this course that you and I are in right now. And I felt like it was a real big stretch for me. I don't even know that it was a goal. It was just a big stretch experience. People have mentioned him in high regard. I've really enjoyed his teachings. In the class, I know it said mastering your mediumship, but I really didn't know that it was people who did a profession, right? Where they got paid to do it. And so then I was like, oh gosh, this is way above my experience level, but I've enjoyed it. I enjoy the practice. I enjoy connecting with the people. What resonated with me was when I'm doing my readings and when I have practice groups and classes, if I think about it, I'm like, okay, that's how it comes in. And actually, in some ways it comes in when I do my writing. The first 6 months of doing any kind of classes, I kept showing up, but starting to say, let's just not coming in that way. But it is coming in, but just not that way. It was going to come in how it wanted to, the way it was for me. And I just had to accept that. I wasn't going to get evidential stats. I finally just decided to embrace. I wasn't going to get name, date, and serial number. I'm lucky if I get gender, to be honest with you. What mostly comes in for me is the message, not a lot of evidence, other than maybe some things about their personality. If I start speaking, I can see that the other person has been moved to some sort of emotion. So I could tell that it's resonating. I've had to really come to some sort of terms with sometimes the exercise is whatever the exercise is. And sometimes it doesn't come in like the way that the teacher has assigned the exercise. I used to be very hard on myself. And then one day I just decided, look, if the teacher's going to come in the group and listen to what I'm going to say, and if they have something to say about it, I'm just going to say, this is how it comes in for me. I can't make it. I've tried. I hear so many people say, oh, I did a platform reading or gallery. And I'm like, oh, that is so cool. But I don't have that amount of ability to do that. But I've had moments where people have come in, not when I'm trying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hello. And they come in not in a class. I've had one occasion where I brought it up to someone. They were as shocked as I was, but I knew that I needed to give the message to this person. I was as gentle as I could be, but it was very shocking to them. And they were reactive. And then they came back and they apologized. They've reached out to me since and wanted me to do it. And I said, I don't know if I can do that again. So I know it's there. I've done like a soul to soul reading for a friend or two. And I feel like it was really good what I've really enjoyed in any of the practices is that connection with spirit. And I know that sounds nebulous to people who haven't been working in this. So it's hard to say what spirit is. I feel like that was bringing in the messages for someone was exhilarating, but not earthly exhilaration. There was some other thing, a real big connection. You could really feel like, oh, this family member, loved one in spirit is trying so desperately to communicate with this person in the material world, and they're so busy with their life or their grief, and they just can't see it. And I feel like that was compelling me to continue studying it.
I love that. It sounds like compassion for the person in grief, as well as the compassion for the person in spirit who's trying to make their presence known to the person who, if they're shrouded in grief, probably can't feel, hear, see, or sense their loved one. I never thought of the different feeling, because you're right about there's an earthly exhilaration to doing something like normal, but doing it really well. But it is different when you can really have the experience of being, sometimes I say conduit, but lately I find myself appreciating the term transmitter. I don't want to say a translator because I really strive not to actually translate. I want to, as verbatim as it comes in, I want it to go out unless something feels off about it. Maybe I'm off. I got distracted because I was hungry, or I remembered, oh crap, I was supposed to do something and didn't set an alarm for it. If I'm distracted, that's different. When I do readings, I really work to be very grounded. And the more grounded I am, the less I worry about things coming in that push me off center. It has happened very few times. Something feels not quite right, and I'm not sure of who exactly I'm connecting with or what their intention is. It's rare, but we always have to have our discernment on. And look, I totally get that. It is really daunting to open your mouth in front of a bunch of people that feel miles ahead of you, because maybe they've been practicing for 20 years and you just started 2 years ago. It would be easy to feel very behind. Some of the people in our class have been doing this since they were children. Talking about picking up on information, I don't think we can control how we pick up information. It comes to us how it comes to us. We can perceive it through the ways we are capable of in that moment. I am very clear that can change and evolve. When I first started really dabbling in mediumship, I think my only really strong clair was clairaudience. I would get songs, I would hear different clues about things, but that was mainly it. I signed up for a medical intuition training course, which I didn't know was mediumship. I thought it was just using our intuition to get information. I remember the teacher saying, you have to use clairvoyance. You have to see the information. It's the most neutral. So basically, she was saying everything else you get, you have to throw away, put aside, don't listen to it. You have to ask to see things, have them show you things. You can ask for things in a particular way, but also it's a skill set of getting quiet, trusting ourselves, being really grounded, being open. It's like riding a bike and juggling at the same time. You're watching where you're going, you're moving your legs, you have to keep certain things going and paying attention to those things the whole time. You're moving along and you don't want to run over a pigeon. And then at some point, we take for granted that it becomes easy because we're used to it. With mediumship, I feel a level of ease with it. I've done a lot of practicing. I've taken a lot of courses. This has been my main focus for like 10 years. I have a history back further than that of going to a spiritualist church, taking healing courses, being part of a mediumship circle. I took a long, slow path. I interviewed somebody recently, had a huge spiritual awakening that was like a crash and burn kind of thing. For the last 10 years, she has been completely immersed in all of this stuff. Now she's doing amazing stuff. So time isn't necessarily as important an element as it might seem. I want to say something about evidence. It is easy to look at videos of other mediums, like professional mediums, and be like, I never get how old somebody was when they passed away or how they
Yeah.
passed away. There's a lot of things that I don't pick up on either. I have discerned for myself what feels like a priority, and evidence just isn't that. This is just my take on
Yeah.
it. I want evidence to be in the form of validation when I'm doing a reading, that it's unmistakable that this is your person because of what they said, what they brought up, what they
Right.
didn't say, even little inside jokes I might make through my mouth tell you it's that person. But I'm not looking for, and he wore a 3-piece tweed suit every day, and I'm seeing his brown wingtip
Yeah.
shoes. Ironically, as I continue to take classes and I have places with friends that I practice with and I do readings, it does continue to expand and grow as I'm doing that, but not because I'm trying to force it. And I really mean this. If I consciously efforted to try to make stuff come in, I don't know what I would even get.
Yeah. What happens for me specifically is I'll feel parts of the body where the injuries or the
Mm.
chronic, but I don't know anatomy. I'm not a doctor. So I'll be like, it's on the left side or it's on the right
Mm-hmm.
side, or I feel it in the head. And then the sitter will say, oh, yes, they had this, or
Mm-hmm.
yes, they had that. And I'll be like, oh, I didn't even know that. I don't know the names of the conditions. And I will get that, the point in the body, or if they
Yeah.
had arthritis or pain in their joints or whatever. So that's how it comes in as evidence.
That's evidence.
And that's how they come in for me. The teachers may not say that wasn't the assignment. No one's ever said it's just been more my worry. One time I had a teacher say, our assignment is to declare olfactory smell. And
Mm.
for the life of me, I couldn't make it happen because I would describe dirt. She's, what does it smell like? I'm like, dirt. And she's, you're not doing it. I'm laughing a little bit because I thought I can't. But then about a month later, I'm smelling someone's cologne that doesn't live in my house. And I'm like, anybody else smell that? And they're like, no. And I'm thinking, okay, so it's coming in now. It comes in when it wants.
I love that. Let's discern evidence versus information.
Yeah.
Evidence in the way that we're talking about it, I can imagine you having a very high standard. Whereas to me, I didn't know anatomy. When stuff comes in, like just how you're describing it, I'm getting the pain right here. Sometimes I'll feel that from the person in spirit, but not that often. And I am empathic and have clairsentience, which is where you feel things in your body. But I feel like each connection can be really different. It's going to depend on the person in spirit, how relaxed you are. Try this. Imagine that the chair that you sit in to do your practice is like a sacred zone. Get comfortable in your chair, sit back, and really try to just get as you can. No expectations, no pressure. As much as you can just clear your mind, try to think of just nothing and just get a little comfortable in just that. Stuff is going to float through a little bit here and there, and it doesn't matter. Like meditation, the point isn't absolute silence in your head, right? It's just engaging in exercise. Let's get a sense of anything you're feeling in your body, your baseline. If you've got a pain in your lower left back, notice that. Okay. Is there somebody in spirit, maybe a spiritual guide or a loved one that you feel safe and comfortable with connecting to?
I haven't really connected in spirit through me with anybody, but oftentimes the person who's doing the reading for me when we have practice, usually it's my dad, my mom sometimes will come through from them, but not directly me.
Gotcha. That totally makes sense. Would you feel safe inviting either your mother or your father to come in very close to you?
Sure.
Which one?
I'll say my dad.
So just think of your dad right now and you're inviting him to come in really close, like all the way in as much as he can.
I hear the words, I'm already here. More claircognizance, just knowing.
Great job. Other than that he's here, is there some other message or knowing that he wants to share with you right now?
I see what first looked like a sine wave, like a wave like up and down, but then it just turned into a hill. There's small hills, and this one hill had this big bright light on it. It was like just basically saying, I've just come to the top of this one nice little hill.
It's a little clairvoyance. Let's just give him a moment. Take his time.
First, I saw what looked like a big paper map unfolding. I asked, are you showing me a big map? And I heard, just say it. So I just have to say what it is. Typically, my clairvoyance is blurry, but it's there. And I just have to say the thing that I see.
Sometimes, if what in your mind's eye is blurry, maybe you can look around a little bit, focus on what seems a bit clearer, and then see if that becomes even a bit more clear.
I see what looks like a braid. I'm seeing that it's being braided together. All the pieces are there. You're combining them. We saw the hair braid. I see just a variety of colors. It's almost like something is coming into view and then it just fades away. It just dissipates. It's coming in, and I feel a little bit like I'm trying too hard.
You can't control what comes in, but you
Right.
can control where your attention is, your intention for stuff to come in, how relaxed you can try to make yourself be so that there's not an extra barrier.
I have to say it as I see it because more starts coming in. It starts off with like a visualization or some sort of visible thing, right? Or whatever I see. But I have to start talking because that's the faucet. The speaking is the turning on of the faucet. And then the rest starts to come in more claircognizantly. It comes in phrase by phrase. If you have one person with a navigation thing, it's only going to tell you the next turn. It's not going to tell you the next 5 turns. It'll confuse you. It's only going to get just this moment. You can only take one bite at a time.
If you're feeling that pressure to say it exactly how you're getting it, that's how they're training you to do it. My actual secret of confidence. Not that it's a big secret, because I do talk about it on the podcast, but I cannot overstate how much this helps me. I started doing it to stay out of my head, because if something came in and I was like, am I getting this right? I will get stuck in my head. This is what I do, and I do it all the time. Please show me a yes. Please show me a no. It is the most paramount when I'm doing any kind of connecting for myself to keep it clean and make sure I'm on track and being neutral, or for anybody else. If you don't have some kind of a check-in method, then I would highly recommend it.
For me, you talked about the yes, the no. My yes typically is like I just feel pressure in the back of the head, almost like a big hand to just squeeze, not bad or painful or anything. If I'm with a circle of friends or whatever and they're saying something and I'm like, and it's a powerful yes, I'm like, I'm getting a big yes on that. So that's how I'll share that experience. Nothing will happen when it's a no. I have not yet detected a no. I'll get yes. One particular moment that was powerful for me when I was doing a practice class, and I wanted to say it because you talked about not just being in service, but that other connection. I did a reading on 2 different occasions for a classmate, and the person that called in spirit asked in the blend, and the feeling that I got just brought me to tears. I couldn't stop sobbing. And I just said, just love you so much. Then after that class, I was crying so much that I kept apologizing. And she says, that's okay. Just ask them to step back a little bit. I did, and the crying stopped. But later on, I described it to my family. I said, it was total unconditional love. And I've had kids, all the wonderful things in life. And that is the closest thing, but it's just not like that. It's something else.
I probably heard the term somewhere, but I look at it like clair empathy. And that will happen in readings where I will just feel the emotion and my face will start crying. It might be love. Sometimes it's remorse and sadness. You're
Mhm.
describing 3 different Claires so far, plus you were able to smell things with aliens.
Like, that's the
Yeah.
word. I never know the term.
So, sister, you've got 4 that you have access to so far.
All right, that's good to know. Right after I started dabbling in astrology, and the assignment was to get when the person passed. I saw a crab and I figured cancers, like I picked June, even though it's June, July, and they
Okay.
passed in June. So I got that as a symbol. I don't typically get numbers or anything like that, but I got a symbol. I guessed right. I guess I could have picked July, but I got June. I feel like that there's a lot more there than I give myself credit for. One thing, of course, is not never wanting to let somebody down, right? What if it didn't come through? And so, yeah, that would be it. I've had to come to terms with being okay with
Yeah.
not meeting somebody else's expectations of
Yeah.
me. I think that's probably one of the bigger parts of this overall journey beyond mediumship, beyond
Yeah.
sharing messages or anything like that. It's really about being okay with your human fallibility.
I hope this is helpful, but I feel like letting go of all of that stuff and just doing your best. For me, I'm just doing my very best to be as connected as I can think to be without trying to be right or get it right or sound smart. Or I used to hear the grammar that somebody on the other side would bring through. I would see 2 words that they don't tense wise go together. And now I'm just like, you know what? It doesn't make sense grammatically, but this is what I'm seeing. I don't even want to correct that. I feel like I have become the most honest version of myself. I really hope in my podcast it continues to become more like, look, I don't have all the answers. This is what I'm picking up on. And I'm just doing my best to earnestly share that stuff so that I can grow and other people can grow.
It's so funny you say that because that's such an important part. I listened to that one podcast that you did where you're like, those that doesn't even make sense, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
And I remember that. And as I'm hearing it again, I'm thinking, oh, that just makes the message even that much more powerful. You don't
Yes.
need to be all caught up in your world of grammar and stuff like this because you possess a good command of the English language. You know how to form a sentence and know the right tenses and words to use, right? And the thing is, if everything was so perfectly polished, then it may be you, your human ego, than
Yeah.
more than the spirit world. And I read years ago, I was guided to the law of one. And if you've ever read any of that, the way it's written, it's a channeled message, but the grammar was really hard to, you had to, it's like reading something from the 1800s. You have to really get into the mindset of like, how do they speak then? And it's a lot more flowery language. That was very difficult reading. It's not that because it's poorly, it didn't have poor grammar, but because the syntax was difficult to read, it's not that it gives it more credence, but it does to me in some ways.
Yeah.
That's an important part because a lot of the things that I get sometimes are through writing, and I get some stuff that I'll go, wow. I'll go back and read it because it comes in so fast. It's not great syntax.
Sometimes the grammar of things doesn't make sense as it comes in. And just recently have I been like, you know what? I'm not going to correct the grammar. These are the words I'm seeing. I know it doesn't really make sense. Let's remember messages for other people are not necessarily supposed to make sense to anybody. I'm just doing my best to stay calm and quiet on the inside so that it just comes in and it comes out of my mouth and it comes in, it comes out of my, that's
Right.
all I'm trying to do. I don't care if it makes sense. And I love when it doesn't make sense now, because you're right.
Yeah.
That means that I'm as out of the equation as possible. I used to get super nervous and I'd have to really ground and force myself. And now I just have to not think. If I cannot think, I'm good because I'm not going to get nervous. I'm not going to have performance anxiety. I'm not going to worry about disappointing somebody. If I can't make a link, it doesn't usually happen, but it can happen.
One thing that I read is that all the earthly feelings of what was equitable, what was right, go. That stays with the body, right? And so the conversation, like even the one with my dad, it was like, please, I've been here the whole time. You know what I mean? They're just not concerned with the earthly, worldly things because their purview is different, right? I did one class recently and I did a reading for my partner. As I was telling it, I was like, oh, it was so good. It came in. When I went to tell my husband about it, I said, I can't remember anything I said. I guess I must have really done it because I can't remember a word of it, but I know it went well. I know the person was like, oh my God. When I'm like,
Yeah.
what did I say? And that's a really cool feeling too, because then you
Yes.
really know I just passed the note in class. I can't tell you what was in it because I didn't open it.
You didn't interfere in any kind of way. I just kept hearing ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
If I tried to hang on to the information that was coming through so that I could make sense of it later, now I'm thinking and I'm trying to do medium. The two do not work together for me
Right.
at all. So I give up the trying to remember anything. If I do, it's a bonus.
I had a thing in one of my classes the other day. I wrote this thing down. The main thing was the story at the end. I was like, I like this. I like it. I really like, should I put that someplace? The point is it was so interesting and it was very much in alignment with what people call it mediumship or psychic or intuitive or remote viewing or channeling or muscle testing or dowsing. It's all the same thing. It's going to look different. And then the truth, my job isn't to provide you proof or evidence. What I feel like my role is when somebody has been desperately trying to come through and I'm sitting next to the person that they want to have a message sent to, they're just gonna, I'm there for a reason. And I know I've seen spirit setups. I've seen them, I've been there, and you're like, I didn't expect that. And who knew? Just how they do it, I don't know, but they're there and I'm there. I'm seeing somebody and they're telling me the person that has come through has been through some stuff in their human life. And that's important to give that person because they're going through stuff in their human life too. And this message can help, but it's not my job to interpret it. It's just to be like, they're here. And the question I got from one person is, do they see all the things that I've done since they've passed? And I said, they've been there the entire time.
What made you say that?
Because that's what I felt to say. That
Yeah.
was what they wanted to say.
When you were talking about getting messages, your whole being was lit up, Michelle. So
Oh,
clearly
wow.
you have a passion for this, just like I do, just like everybody else in our course. That's really the driving factor of all of it, is that there is nothing quite like this. When you feel that connection, when you pick up, I look at it like I'm not surprised, but I'm always amazed.
I got somebody who was still alive, but their family member was in advanced stages of dementia. And then another time, one of the people did a reading for me for a family member. I'm like, this family member is very much alive. We brought it up to the teacher later and we were asking, can this happen? The way I took the message was it was from this family member's higher self. I've been keeping journals, but I just do it day by day. One time I was doing journaling and I was writing, and it wasn't my typical writing, but it was, I had reached this point where I was coming to this understanding of my own frustrations. And the way the penmanship was angry, it wasn't some of my prouder words. But then I realized what the words were was like a very wounded experience coming up and expressing itself. And then it was like coming up to go out. It was that cathartic kind of exercise. And then, but it's all those things that have come up and it's quite powerful. Just so many layers to it.
Oh, absolutely. And what's occurring to me is, first of all, there's so much healing available to us.
Yes.
Because you need to, if you're going to really be a good receiver, you got to clean up a lot of your own crap.
That's what I've noticed in the few years. Like it's almost like it's getting right in my face. And if you're going to have to look at it, it's like spirit will bulldoze your life because it's coming in with a superhighway and it is coming right through your backyard. And your backyard is full of shit right now. We got to clean that out. Sorry, my French, but you know.
Hallelujah, though. Look, you're excited about this. I can tell when you talk about actually being connected versus all the crap about connecting, that it's a very different experience for you. And it's nice to see the part about the actually being connected, back to being more of myself than I've ever been before. A lot of my friends are very open to this or do this themselves. It's like a freedom that I never thought I would get to have. And I can
Yeah,
totally see you that way too. The more you embrace this part of yourself that you have a fascination with, you have to be on the right path because you're so excited about it
yeah,
naturally.
yeah. That's very nice of you to say, and it's very affirming because I would probably do it anyway, even if somebody came up and said to me, "You're wasting your time," or "You're never going to be," or whatever. I would probably be like, "Yeah, okay, I'm still going to do it anyway."
Totally get that about you. I feel the same
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
It's for you. Great if you give messages to other people, but it makes our lives richer, regardless
Yeah.
of what we do. And then there's what we feel pulled to do to support other people. Just as I'm saying that, I'm seeing a brick chimney.
Hmm.
Oh. And now I have this sense of Santa Claus or some other present is going to come down through the chimney and
Oh, wow.
deliver gifts. Oh, I'm getting you are a surprising messenger. And no one's more surprised than you. It feels right to me to say, and I'm getting a big yes, that you have a history like the rest of us of being a message bearer and possibly a fortune teller. So this isn't like your first rodeo. That's where the fascination comes from. Is it's just this natural part of you. It's organic to
Yeah.
your being. And look, I tell my husband more than I used to, but I'll tell my friend Maria, she'll get excited with me.
Yeah.
I have people I can share this kind of stuff when I'm like, oh my God, guess what? And they're into
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
we have our people who are just as enthusiastic, and then people
Yeah.
who aren't, and we don't have to share with them because it doesn't mean the same. And that's okay.
I think that's one of the reasons why I've done these kinds of courses and stuff because everybody has their stories about what happened in 2020. And people in your life fell away, and they only fell away because it's making room for the superhighway coming through. And that's part of the journey as well. And then trying on different groups of people, they may have resonated for a while, and then that doesn't anymore. And so you keep in search of it. It's like also being in search of the people that resonate with you, and things like Zoom and online classes really opened the world up.
Yeah.
Places I wouldn't come across your path otherwise. And to me, that's really such a wonderful thing to be able to have that connection with people that you're like, oh yeah, I know this person. It's really such a powerful moment.
When the pandemic hit and we were all sequestered to our homes, we had to break
Right.
out of all of our usual stuff. I had recently reconnected with my friend Maria. I was listening to a podcast and they were offering a mediumship class. So we started doing that together and we met more people. We had a group for a couple of years. We supported each other to practice and get stronger, taking classes. The more you work on it, the more it continues to expand and grow. My trust in myself has also grown. And it's only because of that I can still give these full messages, even though the information becomes more and more subtle. What I feel like I'm getting is, I want to say, a tenth of the strength of what I used to get. I needed a little bit more of a sledgehammer before. I don't
Right.
need that now. I've been working on maintaining my energy because it used to be that a reading and I'd be depleted, or if I did two in a row, I'd be exhausted. So I had to learn how to call my energy back, clear out my energy field. And so it's been a couple years since I've been doing that. So now, if I was doing a reading, if I wasn't minding the time and I wasn't worried about my energy, I could probably go for 2 or 3 hours. So much
Wow.
information would just keep going. I'm hanging out with the person in spirit where we've got a flow going. So it's just
Right.
moving. So it just keeps evolving. And it's so freaking exciting. It
It's
is.
really, it's exciting in a way that it's funny you said Santa Claus in the chimney and stuff like that. And when you said, "Oh, no one's more surprised than me," it's
That's what
like
they,
sometimes
yeah.
when it has come in, nobody is really more. I go, "Oh my God, I believe this because I was there, right?" But it's amazing. And I sometimes
Mm,
I sit there and part of that thing in my astrological chart, which was talking about it will blow some people's minds. I
yeah.
think that's why I've been so hesitant because it's a lot of responsibility with blowing someone's mind. I don't know how easily it would be for me to take the potential backlash from it. And I think maybe there's a old wound.
I hear what you're saying about the fear of a backlash, but I tell you, there are times when I've been nervous about saying something that I saw. I saw a revolver once and I was like, on the inside. I didn't know what to do
Wow.
with it. I checked in probably 8 times. Wait, am I getting this right? Wait, am I supposed to say this? Wait, am I getting this right? I was scared. But then I said it to the woman and she's, oh, that's my dad. I forget
Wow.
why, but that symbol was related to her father. That was her business. But you're picking up on what you're picking up on for a reason. If you have your own sort of filtration system, like
Right.
now I'm getting nervous, so I'm going to look to let that go. Is it for this person's highest good for me to deliver this message as I'm receiving it? Maybe feel your yes. If you
Yeah.
feel nothing, maybe, because there are times when people in spirit do not have a filter. And that person might not actually be ready. You have to trust your own discernment. So maybe just use that other part of you, which is the one that knows to ask, and
Mm-hmm.
then see. It's very rare that I'll leave something off. I try not to deliberately, I really try not to do that. That's why I write shit down, is like, I don't want to forget this, because sometimes those are the juiciest moments. That can be the most validatable stuff, but you wouldn't know
Totally.
because that's their relationship, not yours. So just consider that might just be your humanness.
Yeah. I think the one lady whose family member had come in was one of those where it was like, gosh, I am not comfortable in this out of a classroom setting. But at the same time, I knew that it was important. I had to do this one thing. And yeah, it upset her and I got upset. I was like, I know if you never want to speak to me again, that would be totally fine. I totally understand that. And she came around, but it was really
Wow.
just like, and all these people were like, what did you say to her? And it made her cry. I'm thinking, well, I didn't mean to make her cry.
That wasn't you. You were delivering a message the way you were given it. You didn't
Yeah.
say, I'm picking up that you're an effing asshole. That's not what
Yeah.
happened. You weren't doing that. I'm just saying some of the biggest truth bombs that have been dropped on my lap to deliver have been some of the biggest validating things that I could possibly share.
Really what was needed from this
Yeah.
person. Yeah, that's definitely true. The thing is, I have to like understand that the old patterns have of protecting me. That's part of what's been coming up to be healed. It's in the way that I see it, where before it was in the way I didn't know it was there. I thought it was just all me.
You would never be able to break out of it if you weren't aware of it.
Yeah.
I've had to heal stuff about myself to be able to do this, and I still have a long road ahead of me. There are times when I feel like I get good accolades of I did a great reading or I did a good job connecting from the person in spirit, which is really meaningful. But I have also had to stop looking for validation
Yeah.
or positive reinforcement. So true.
It's a really tricky thing because you're looking for, did I get it right? Also, like, how do I appropriately file that away? Because where I don't walk around with this,
We have to really keep our own agendas in check.
I figure
And
you get the slap down from spirit eventually if they're saying you get too big for your britches.
I would love to see that happen. But look, if I was doing that, I would want them to tell me, like, really let anything egoic about this, really let it go, because it's not what makes me special. I'm in classes with hundreds of other people in this one class, in this one period of time, on this one Zoom room, who in some ways would blow me out of the water. Some are
Totally.
newer, but there's
Yeah.
nothing special about me. I really do feel that way. Like you, I had a fascination about this. I keep pursuing it. I enjoy learning it and getting better at it. So I keep taking classes. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
be the best of anything. I just love it. The more pure the messages are that I can give and people feel seen and their loved ones feel seen and healing happens. There's nothing better. I can't do therapy. I can't help people heal that way. I don't think I was a great therapist anyway, but this feels like it's a mixture of everything. And to me, there's nothing more beautiful. And to have us all feel less alone in the world because our loved ones are right here and they're telling us nothing more heartfelt and real than that. So if something was coming through and you knew that your friend that you're talking to is open and you have blanket permission, totally go for it. How beautiful would that be? And then the conversation shifts to something
Yeah.
completely different. There's a lot more depth. There's love coming through. You get to be the Santa Claus and the present at
Yeah.
the same time.
It would be really cool to be able to share messages with people that, even if they're skeptics, they can still hear the message and it will
Yeah.
resonate with them on some level.
So my suggestion, if it's okay, is that
Yeah.
there are some people that if you are going to pick up on something, if you have a feeling you're going to pick up on something, ask when you feel that, when you get that inkling. And
Okay.
then remember who you have blanket permission from. Then you're free to share. You could say, oh, this just in, or however you want to do it. But
Yeah.
if you get permission ahead of time, I've always been clear.
I thought it was really cool to be able to have a conversation with someone,
Oh,
knowing
yeah.
that could still happen, and then also going, I've got this really cool thing. And then
Yeah.
the person goes, "Ah, yeah, they just know.
When you start
Okay.
getting messages, when you're having a conversation with a friend that you know is open, and stuff just starts coming in. But the more open you are, the more you practice, the more you journal, and then this automatic writing comes through and you're practicing and you're building your skills and your confidence. It's only going to go up from there.
Thank you so much. I was a little nervous at first that talk about opening the spigot the day when Tony says, oh, who does this professionally? And I think this was probably the second time I've ever raised my hand. And I wasn't raising my hand, and all of a sudden
Oh,
somebody
I love
put my hand
that.
up.
He said, who's aspiring to have this be a
Yeah,
regular part of your life? And yeah,
I raised my hand and I was like, okay. And then moments later, you mentioned what you do and your podcast and what you were looking to do. And I think when we had the water break, I was like, I have to email her right now. So then, and then you reach back. But then the thing was, as I was writing in my journal, I'm like, I did this thing, and you have to sometimes just say yes. You have to say yes, and you have to do the thing. And I'm saying this to the people when you're bugging me that I'm not doing the thing, because I'm doing the thing.
I'm getting it is enough. When you're trying your hardest, when you're trying the best you can think of to do in that moment, and you're willing, and there's bravery and courage, and you're less self-inhibiting, that's right enough. Oof. I can feel that. That feels like 4 or 5 generations all saying that to you now. It's enough. It is enough to try your best. And whenever you leave your body, however far you did or didn't get in developing this, it seems very clear in my heart that you're going to be freaking pleased with yourself that you did it. This feels like the correct path to your heart and to your passion. And that's the biggest confirmation we can get.
Thank you very much. I would like to share it with a few key family members just to say, this is what I do, this is who I am, and this is regardless of whatever they choose to think about it. It's just a proclamation.
Oh, hell yeah. And some people might surprise you that they're like, holy crap, that's frightening, but I love that. Who knows? But I think it also has to not matter to us.
Yeah,
It's satisfying enough, filling you up enough that you don't need that validation from people who it's not their thing.
totally.
That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, and somebody's mwah, kind of feeling.
Thank you.
That feels great grandmotherly. It's likely in your lineage and people would have kept it secret, is what feels right to me to say right now. So you may be a lot more alive and aligned with your family than you may have ever realized before. I'm getting a big,
Yeah.
I can feel it in my bones because I feel like the foundation of that helps me
Yes.
do a sensitive job in a way that I want to. And I also want to just say you are very normal.
Thank you. And that's one of the things that I haven't felt like in a while.
So it occurs to me as you're saying that you just need to widen your circle to include more people who have the same fascination you do. They're encouraging you to connect more with people in these classes.
I have done that with some people, but I think it would be nice to reach out a little bit more and get more practice and things like that.
Build your confidence.
Thank you so much, Noelle. I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Good. I hope so. You take good care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for spending this time with me on Mediumship Sparks. If this episode resonated with you, please like it, subscribe, rate, and certainly share it with somebody else who could benefit. If you're interested in any support I might be able to provide as you navigate your spiritual path, please feel free to check out my offerings at connectingwithnoelle.com and reach out at mediumshipsparkspodcast@gmail.com. Take good care of yourself, and I'll look forward to being with you again soon.